Hello, welcome to HITC Sport. Alright, fairly straightforward one. This, let's grade each Premier League club's oldest signings since 2010. Let's see once and for all whether signing the elderly is actually worth it at all. Oh, by the way, for this, I'm not including goalkeepers, because a lot of old men are offered the gig as third choice goalie these days and they never ever play. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Steven Lichtsteiner, 2 out of 10. Yeah, Steven Lichtsteiner is arguably the most forgettable footballer in Arsenal's history. Give it 5 years and Arsenal fans, they'll probably think Lichtsteiner is some type of German couch. They probably won't remember that he was actually a 34-year-old right back who played less than 15 Premier League games. Arsenal fans could be forgiven for assuming that a guy with nearly 260 games and 7 consecutive league titles for the old lady would automatically shove Hector Bellerin's career in a bin. Yeah, no. Lichtsteiner looked slow, clumsy and put up less of a fight for the right back spot than Alison Gibb did in a boxing ring. Aston Villa, John Terry, 8 out of 10. Here's what I don't understand. For the last 3 years, Chelsea have mostly been defending like a bunch of diabetic clowns, and they've just signed Thiago Silva at 36. So why did they dump their 5-time Premier League winning captain at the same age? Back in 2017, he shoved his one-club legacy down the toilet, finishing off his career not by being carried off the pitch with teammates offering him a night with their wife, but no, instead dropping into the championship with Aston Villa. Listen, finishing off a glittering career by taking orders on how to win football matches from Steve Bruce, it's like Pavarotti being given singing lessons by Harry Styles. It's not very dignified. He did well though. He captained the club to 16 championship clean sheets, and had they not lost the playoff final to Fulham, it would have been the perfect season. But no, the lasting image we have of John Terry on a football pitch is consoling Ryan Snodgrass. But come on, why is he crying? He was only at Villa Park for 9 goddamn months. Jeez, that fella probably was out watching the goddamn X Factor. Brighton, Mauricio Taricco, 4 out of 10. Yes, Glenn Murray was one of Brighton's greatest ever elderly signings, but he wasn't as old as Mauricio Taricco. You know, that hot-headed former Spurs left back who wound up at Brighton under Gus Poyet in November 2010. He was sent off in his debut in an FA Cup game at Woking, played 40 games as they won League One. No, he wasn't a very good player for Brighton. Burnley, Peter Crouch, 4 out of 10. Okay, what was the point of this signing? I love Peter Crouch. We all love Peter Crouch. He's got a world-class podcast and used to be a damn good player. He was scoring at World Cups by pulling defenders' hair. But in January 2019, he signed for Burnley just 1 day after his 38th birthday. Sure, he's a former England international who scored in the biggest competitions, but at the time, he was a Stoke bench warmer and scored 1 goal in the championship all season. Bringing him to Turf Moor as a virtual head on a stick, coughing him onto the pitch for the final 10 minutes of 6 games, he didn't score, retired at the end of the season, pretty forgettable. Chelsea, Didier Drogba, 7 out of 10. Okay, Thiago Silva signing is old as balls, but he's still no Didier Drogba. This other Chelsea legend who signed off his first spell with football perfection, the winning spot kick to win the Champions League, he decided to return to Stamford Bridge under Jose Mourinho in 2014 at 36 years of age. Listen, second spells are always a risk. After such a perfect goodbye, the last thing you want to do is spoil that by embarrassing himself every week in front of Chelsea fans. It'd be like Mike Tyson returning to the ring, only to waddle about like an overweight penguin before begging for the bell. To be fair though, Drogba did well. 7 goals in 40 games, scoring at Old Trafford, winning a 4th league title, not a bad free transfer. Crystal Palace, Kevin Phillips, 8 out of 10. Yeah, this was a risk. Sure, in his prime, Kevin Phillips was winning European Golden Boots, but Ian Holloway taking him into a promotion push with Crystal Palace midway through the 12-13 season, it looked like an act of desperation. This guy was just 6 months off 40. As a striker, you need to be able to move your legs. Most men in their 40s are barely able to reach for the remote without ripping their quads in half, so expectations were low. But Phillips, in just 6 months of the club, rode himself into Palace history. 7 goals in 16 games is a phenomenal return for a 39-year-old, including the winning penalty in the Championship playoff final. Everton, Gareth Barry, 7 out of 10. Yeah, surprisingly, Everton don't make a habit of filling their team with pensioners. The oldest I can find is Gareth Barry. This is a guy who spent his peak years desperately trying to force his way to Liverpool. The man was practically buying Liverpool kits with his name on the back, getting Stevie G's face tattooed on his chest, learning Scout slang, all while captaining Aston Villa. So when he quit City to wind up at Goodison Park in 2014 at 33 years of age, I'm guessing he was desperately hoping the Toffees didn't remember him flirting with their rivals. To be fair, he did well at Everton, being the model professional who probably hasn't eaten burgers in 2006. He most likely doesn't even know what alcohol smells like. He managed to squeeze in over 150 games for Everton, one of the most reliable men in midfield. Yeah, not bad. Fulham, Georges Karagounis, 6 out of 10. I'm sorry, but this transfer did not make sense. Georges Karagounis won Euro 2004 with Greece, but that was 8 years before 2012. Surely the shine had worn off. He was a 35-year-old old man midfielder when he swapped Panathinaikos for Craven Cottage in September 2012. He did okay, played 47 games across 2 seasons, scored 3 goals, but also got relegated and went through 3 goddamn managers. So how successful was he really? Leeds, Amdi Faye, 3 out of 10. Ever remember Amdi Faye, a French midfielder who got Portsmouth promoted, but then began to look like utter cow vomit at every other of the 5 British clubs he signed for? He came on trial at Leeds in September 2010 at 33 years of age, somehow passed to get a short-term deal, but he only lasted 6 months, played 6 games and retired in January. Most Leeds fans have already probably forgotten who he is. Leicester, Kevin Phillips, 6 out of 10. Yeah, you thought Crystal Palace were borderline insane for offering a 39-year-old Kevin Phillips a deal, but Leicester were the team who came in after them, also persuading him to join the promotion push in January 2014. He was 40, scored a couple of goals in 12 games, obviously offered finishing advice to Jamie Vardy, and signed off a 23-year career with a championship title. For a 40-year-old man playing against defenders young enough to be his children, this wasn't a bad way to sign off at all. Liverpool Rickie Lambert 4 out of 10. When Rickie Lambert had scored in his England debut in the autumn of 2013, he probably thought his career had peaked. No, instead he gets to spend a season with his boyhood Liverpool, being dragged in the door from Southampton to 32. If Lambert was just some fat 40-year-old dragged in from the championship, then I might forgive him for only scoring 2 goals all season. But no, this is a guy who slammed home nearly 30 goals in his previous 2 seasons in the Premier League. So 2 in 25 games is not good enough. Sure, he scored in the Champions League away at Ludogorets, a team filled with Bulgarian plumbers and accountants, but I don't care. For a Liverpool Football Club, this was a very poor showing. Man City, Frank Lampard 8 out of 10. Yeah, Chelsea fans won't like to remember this. They probably blanked it from their memory. The mere sight of Frank Lampard in a Manchester City shirt is like watching your wife make love to your cousin. Sure, Chelsea won the league that year, so they didn't sting too badly, but hey, Lampard still scored in a 1-1 draw against Chelsea before celebrating like he was attending a funeral. I know he was 36 when dragged in from New York City, but Lampard put some of his younger teammates to shame. He managed nearly 40 games in all competitions, scored 8 goals. No, he didn't win any trophies, but never forget, Lampard was a damn good Man City player. Man United, Zlatan Ibrahimovic 9 out of 10. If you're a professional athlete who talks as much arrogant smack talk as Zlatan Ibrahimovic, you need to be able to back it up. Imagine if he wound up at Old Trafford in 2016 as a 34-year-old with talk of dominating the league before scoring about 5 goals a season. It would be like Conor McGregor getting slapped up by Khabib. But no, Zlatan did back it up, proving to be the greatest free agent of all time. He managed nearly 50 games in his first season, scored 28 goals, won 3 trophies. Lads, what a signing. Newcastle, Daryl Murphy 6 out of 10. Oh, good old Daryl Murphy, Waterford's finest. Yeah, he's Newcastle's oldest signing this decade. I bet when Geordie saw Rafa Benitez beginning life in the Championship with a 33-year-old Murphy chucked up front, they must have thought relegation had broken his brain. But Murphy, a guy who arrived with 0 expectations, even drawing comparisons with Shefki Kucci, he actually did alright. Scored 6 goals in 18 games and largely kept Alexander Mitrovic out of the team. Although, considering the Serbian went on to top scorer in that division for Fulham, I have to assume he just backed over Rafa's cat on the way to work one day. Sheffield United, Phil JAGIELKA 6 out of 10. Listen, Phil JAGIELKA must be slightly cursing the fact he arrived back at Bramall Lane when they already had their defence in order. Maybe if they hadn't, he'd have got a look in last season. After 12 years at Everton, the former England international arrived back at his boyhood club last summer at 37, and yeah, was only allowed 6 games on the pitch, mostly remembered for being ripped apart by Man United twice. Yeah, not the homecoming he'd have wanted. Southampton, Martin CACERES 4 out of 10. Yeah, Southampton don't sign too many old players. Martin CACERES was the oldest and he was only 29, a Uruguayan centre-half arriving from Juventus in February 2017. He played once. I mean, how am I supposed to judge that? Tottenham, Ryan Nelsen 5 out of 10. This is a weird signing. Back in 2012, Tottenham were fighting for top 4, bringing in a 34-year-old Ryan Nelsen, a New Zealand centre-half from Blackburn. Oh, just very weird. He only played 5 league games, scored in the FA Cup against Bolton, but yeah, very forgettable. West Brom, Gareth Barry 4 out of 10. Yeah, second appearance for Gareth Barry. At 36, he wound up West Brom in 2017, got relegated, allegedly stole a taxi out in Spain, and didn't get promoted in the first attempt. Probably the only blotch on an otherwise professional career. West Ham, PATRICE, EVRA 5 out of 10. This was such a West Ham signing. An over-the-hill, big-name footballer searching for one last payday, to the extent that he willingly agreed to play under David Moyes. You know, the guy who dragged Man United into a hole of despair. After being sacked from Marseille, the Hammers were the only team to give this 37-year-old left-back a chance. Back in 2018, he played 5 games, was ripped apart by Liverpool, that was about it. Wolves, João Moutinho 9 out of 10. Incredible, just absolutely incredible. João Moutinho arriving from Monaco as a 32-year-old. Sure, he was slightly past his peak, but he's still been an absolute midfield force for Wolves. It's one of the most incredible eras in the history of the club. European football, challenging for top 4. Lads, this is Wolverhampton Wanderers. Just mental, and so the addition of a seasoned winner like Moutinho, it's been integral. Anyway, that's the end of the video, lads. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.